Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Turn up this volume because I got a couple of things for you to listen to in my talk. My message this morning is titled Manifesting Higher Good. And it was cool, that sun, right when I said that about that we are faith, that sun came beaming right in right about then. I felt like, ooh, another message. But anyway, we talk a lot about receiving and accepting our higher good, but we don't always talk a lot about instructions on how to do that. We don't always say, well, you can believe your higher good's there, but how do we really process this, and how do we implement that in our lives? But I think first we need to look at the rule of 100. Do you know what that is? The rule of 100 refers to the idea that by dedicating roughly 100 hours of focused practice to a skill, you can achieve a level of competency significantly above average in that area. Essentially meaning you can become proficient in new skill by consistently devoting around 18 minutes per day to it. 18 minutes a day. Can you do that? 18 minutes a day. We can even divide up those 18 minutes each day into smaller chunks if we need to, if we don't feel like we have a full 18 minutes. And last week we talked about, prayer, a prayer practice twice a day. You could even make that part of your 18 minutes a day, because what the key thing is that we focus and practice. And when we do that, we can even do that when it comes to manifesting our higher good. We can focus and practice on manifesting our higher good. But we have to agree to be able to devote that time to doing that. So do you all agree you want to devote 18 minutes a day to manifesting your highest good?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I would hope so. This is great. So we can move forward, because it doesn't matter if we're praying or if we're learning a new craft or skill, or whether we're playing an instrument or a game, we must devote time to practice it. And that's the same thing about learning how to manifest your higher good. We have to practice the skills to do that. And I hope today that you're going to get some of these skills and learn some ways to be able to activate that idea of manifesting your highest good. But we do have to practice. We do have to focus on it. Last week we opened up with the burning bowl, and we got rid of stuff that was standing in the way of our higher good. Then we were in this void. We had this open space, and then we filled it with setting an intention for the new year. And so, this is part of our journey and part of what we need to practice and implement. That intention that you set can go right along with manifesting your higher good. And this is how we're going to incorporate it into this message today. But I think we all felt a shift of energy when we did this last week, don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, I saw it on faces, and I felt the energy from everybody out here, and it was like everybody was aglow, and it had a new beginning. And that's what's important. We got to latch on to that energy and realize that we're having a spiritual enlightenment in that moment. This happened because we were in the moment, and we were working energy, and we were receiving energy. So what we were doing was releasing that energy and then receiving the intention. And when we really look at the idea of energy being something that we can manipulate, if you will, or manifest in our lives, it changes our perspective, and it makes us see what more we can do. And energy is here for us to shape. And we get to determine how we shape it. We shape it by our thoughts, right? We know this. We know that we mold it by our words and actions, and that goes along with the law of mind action, correct?
Yes.
And Jesus did this, believe it or not, when he healed the sick or when he walked on water. And there was other people that have done this idea of thoughts held in mind, or molding your higher good into something that will help you in life. And I'm sure right now I could have everybody raise their hands that everybody here has done this at one time in their life or another. You've molded your thoughts into manifesting in your world, whether it was just hearing a different direction to go, or whether it was saying yes to some decision you made, or whether it was just being in prayer and feeling good about that spiritual connection you had. You had it last week when you did the burning bowl and the white stone ceremony. You were feeling that energy that is there. Now, maybe you didn't walk on water, but I know that you've healed. You've healed yourself. You've helped heal others. I know that. And we've all had those intuitive thoughts that help us to a higher level, that lift us up to a higher level. And when I say higher levels, I really like to think of it more as like a collective higher level. You know, not that one person's better than the other. Please don't take it that way. But we have that spiritual connection that made a difference, and that's what we're talking about. We know that we can shift energy just by the way we think, and we can choose to shift that energy and mold that energy with just a simple thought. Looking outside of those rainbows, that was a miraculous thing that happened. And we had the boys come running in saying they see rainbows. You go, oh yeah, okay. I could have just blown it off. But no, I was compelled in the moment to go out there and look. So was Warren. And we both went out there, and the amazement of that. I could have missed out on that whole opportunity had I just gone, okay, yeah, I've seen rainbows before. Who cares? But no, we have to be in that idea that we are here as a spiritual being on a spiritual journey, ready to explore and see new things and be new things. Well, some of you I know have read some of the books by Dolores Cannon, and I have this little snippet. I have several snippets for you today, and hopefully they're going to be loud enough. And that's okay, because I kind of synthesize them after each little snippet. But this is some wisdom from her about energy.
Everything is energy, and the main lesson you're here on earth to do is learn how to manipulate energy. And what does that mean? Create. You have to learn how to create. Once you figure that out, you can have anything. There are no limitations unless you put them on yourself. Once you learn these things, you can have anything you want in life. That's what we are. We are creators. We are manifestors.
So, she said that everything is energy and that we can manipulate energy and that we are creators on this journey of life, and we get to create what we have in our life, what we see, what we explore, what we want to experience. And I have always loved and claimed the term that Unity uses, that we are co-creators with God. I love that, because we truly, if you believe in the one presence and one power, and you believe God is in the midst of you, then you are a co-creator with God. You are here to bring forth whatever those ideas and things are. There we go, co-creators with God. And I use this clip like two people, but we know that the ideas in the realm of divine ideas is really where God exists. But we all are the people taking in those ideas. And that's the energy of God moving in through us. And it's important for us to take this idea in order to manifest. And if you don't truly believe that you are co-creator with God, then it's going to be harder for you to understand the idea of manifesting the higher good, because you will be blocking yourself. So we have to move from lack and limitation and to move into the idea that there is an abundance of all things, that it doesn't matter what we have or what we do, there's enough for everybody, always enough. And I always tell people, if you don't believe that, come to one of our potlucks. You might look at that table and think, there's not enough food for all these people. But there's always enough food, and there's a plethora of food, and people always take food home. That's a perfect idea of God's abundance. Well, here is something else along the lines of manifesting good and changing your thoughts. And this guy is Mo Gadad, I think I said his name right. And he's a neuroscientist. And he calls his brain Becky. And his snippet is a little bit longer, but I wanted to play this whole thing. It's 3 minutes, so here we go.
I call my brain Becky because it's a third party, it's not me. You have to understand this. One of the biggest challenges in the modern world is that we think that the voice in your head talking to you is you. It's not. If it was you talking to you why would it need to talk? There was a study actually in MIT in 2007. They put people in MRI machines, they give them word puzzles, and they measure the activity in the brain. And the problem-solving areas of the brain would light up as long as it is needed to solve the problem. And then when the answer is found, listen to this. The verbal association area of the brain, the same area I'm using to talk to you right now, starts to light up for up to 8 seconds, and then the participant will know the answer. Your brain finds the answer, and then it's freaking talking to you. It turns the answer into words so that you understand it. Your brain is a biological function. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I go to the bathroom, therefore I act. It's another biological function, but for some reason we say, I think, therefore I act. That brain, I have a deal with it. Becky signed an agreement. And the agreement is this. There are only 2 types of thoughts allowed in my brain. My brain is allowed a useful thought if it's going to hurt me, or a joyful thought. One of the struggles of losing a child is that your ego as a father attacks you very heavily because your ego is to protect him. So my ego started to attack me severely, like viciously, telling me you should have driven him to another hospital. So the 4 hours after Ali left, the only thought in my head was you should have driven him to another hospital. Constantly. Until I told my brain openly, I heard you. I can't go back in time and drive him to another hospital. Can you give me something I can do? A useful thought. A useful thought. Until Aya came and said, hey, I had that dream, and then I had the idea of writing this model and so on and so on. So that's a useful thought. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write what he taught me, I'm going to share it with the world. It's a useful thought. The other part of the agreement, so I said 2 thoughts. One is useful and the other is a joyful thought. No lying. Look at me, beard, bald, manly, right? I cry once or twice a week. There is a specific pain right here, bottom right side of my heart, that I always feel when I miss. Every time I feel that pain, my brain is telling me Ali died. Very painful thought. When I think Ali died, I think of what happened, I think how unfair, I think of the last moment where I hugged him in the intensive care table and so on. And I learned very quickly to say, yeah, brain, you told me that around 16,700 times before, but Ali also lived. By the way, we didn't plan for Ali. We didn't plan for Ali. I was given 21 and a half years of absolute bliss, a blessing that I didn't ask for. As a matter of fact, if I had been asked, I would have told my wife, let's delay a little. Then shows up this beautiful angel in my life for 21 and a half years that makes me the person that I am. And my brain chooses to say Ali died. No brain. Ali absolutely lived. We played video games together, we laughed together, we hugged, he taught me things. We had an amazing, amazing journey. And that's what I choose to remember. A joyful thought. If it's not going to be useful, don't hurt me. That's the agreement with Becky. And believe it or not, every single one of us has that choice. Every single one of us is able to stand firm with your Becky and say, that's it. That's it. Don't destroy my life. This is stupid. Don't waste my life. Either give me something I can do or give me something I can think about with joy.
Wow. Powerful, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. And I love that he said your brain is not you, but it is a version of you, and that your brain tries to take over. And that's why he would talk to it like it was another person called it Becky, because he knew that that brain could go either way. And if he talked to it that way, he could direct it back to him. And he said we have to train our brains and stop negativity and to change our responses to things. He said we need to train our brains to only give us these 2 things. And this is probably the most important point that he made in this whole thing. A useful thought, something we can do, or a joyful thought, something good to focus on. And if we do that, that changes a lot of things. It changes our whole world. And just like him, you know, he came to the conclusion after that 21, when his son was 21 and a half years old and he made his transition, he came to the conclusion that he could either be miserable, live in the negativity, let that take him down the wrong road, or that he could breathe and decide to focus on the living part of his son and realize that there was so much that he was blessed with that he didn't have to go down that path, that he could tell his brain, no, I have got to celebrate the blessing that I had for that amount of time. And it is true, when we think of our loved ones, what usually comes to mind first is something good, something that we remember and that can put a smile on our face. And if we just stay in that frame of mind, it changes and erases negativity. It really can. And, you know, it's easy to fall in that trap, what he was saying, that I could have or should have, or I should have done something different, I could have done something different, this isn't happening. But no, we erase that and tell our brain, give me something useful. And for him, putting together this, his message and stuff was his son had come to him and told him, you need to go out and tell the world how you can shift your brain. And him being a neuroscientist, of course, gives him some clout on that. But we can't pile on that guilt and shame and carry that burden of negativity. We have to release it and tell our brains, I don't need that in my world. And I know we've all experienced this, where all of a sudden one day you think about something that maybe you haven't even thought of for 20 or 30 years. And then you think, why am I thinking of that thought? Because I hadn't put any energy to it at all. And it could have been something negative in your life. And you look at it and you kind of go, why is that showing up? Well, I released that. It's gone. We have to go back to that idea that we get to choose and let it go. And we can change those pathways in our brain. And it's so important. But, you know, he realized he had that gift. And this is something that he wrote along with this message that he shared. He said, your brain is constantly rewiring itself. Are you shaping it for happiness or unhappiness? What do you want to rewire? Happiness? Everybody should have a hand. Yeah. Nobody wants unhappiness, I hope. Neuroplasty, the brain's ability to change, offers incredible potential to reshape your thinking, break negative patterns, and cultivate joy. We can do it with a simple thought or a simple memory that brings us joy, whatever that is or was. I mean, even right now, you can bring forth something that brings you joy, and it'll shift your whole behavior. Learn how to train your mind like a muscle. Break free from unpleasant thoughts and focus on what truly matters. That's what he did with that two-step process. He focused on what really matters. Positive practices like gratitude, we all know this, we know gratitude makes a big difference, trains the brain to focus on joy and abundance. So focus on gratitude, be grateful for everything in your life, be grateful that you're here today, because I sure am, and it's going to bring us lots of joy and abundance. Negative habits like consuming distressing news strengthen neural pathways for fear and despair. And he even goes on to say that the media and stuff tends to do this to us. Yeah. You know, they give us this distressing news all the time, and all we're doing is strengthening that negativity instead of like hearing it and go, no, sorry, I'm not giving that any attention today. I'm going to focus on all the good that's happening today. You know, I know we've said this for years. We need a TV station where that's all they do is give you the good stuff that happened all day. Everybody would tune in. That would be a whole lot better than amplifying a negative thing is what they do. Modern society often trains the brain to focus on negativity, leading to habitual unhappiness. You can go down real quick by just watching the news channel all day, can't you? Yeah. Oh, it's awful. And that control, when you think about that somebody can control your feelings and your brain that much, that they can take you down like that, I mean, that's not God. That's not the spirit of who you truly are, and not for our spiritual journey at all. Scientists suggest it takes 21 days to begin forming new neural pathways and feel a difference. We all know this, right? We know 21 days like a magic. Some people say 30 days, whatever. But there are all kinds of little tools like this that we can do to retrain our brains. And this is something we can add to our 18 minutes of practice. And I want to tell you, I've got a cheat sheet for you that you'll get during the offering. They're going to be in those hearts that I call the plan. And all these little suggestions to do during your 18 minutes are on that plan. So you'll get all these suggestions to take home with you. But the next little clip I've got for you is a woman who got very intentional about what she wanted. And I thought this was, it's real short. She talks about manifesting.
Well, me and my boyfriend recently manifested everything that we've been wanting, wrote all of our manifestations down on a piece of paper, said them in the present tense. I have more money than I know what to do with. I have the best relationship. I have the best health. Put it on a piece of paper. I have more money than I know what to do with. I have the best relationship I've ever had. I'm not kidding. 10 months later, every single box is checked.
What?
We are having literally the best year of our lives. Best relationship, best health, biggest financial year.
So, we all know I am statements work, but, I never thought about saying I have something. We usually say I am, like I am healthy, let's just say. But we have to claim also, I have health. Makes a big difference, because then we're putting it into the context that we are doing that now, that it is happening now, instead of like, I am healthy, looking off into the distance. And so I think it's important for us to use these I statements and our I am statements, but use them together and really make a powerhouse statement. So this is in the 18 minutes. But she wrote down all the things she wanted to manifest in that present tense, meaning it's here now, not that it's going to come in the future. And if we do this sometimes when we do affirmations, or when we make a vision board, or when we do something, we say, oh, this is what I want in the future, but we don't claim it for ourselves in this present tense. Makes a huge difference, because it's just like claiming I have faith. I am faith. I have it right here, right now. I can bring it to expression. I am a child of God. When we say those truth statements at the beginning of the service, everybody is really claiming those. And that's the thing. It kind of like gives us a powerhouse. And so when she said, I have more money than I know what to do with, I have the best relationships or ship, I have all the money I need, I have the best health, we can create the best year of our lives by changing our verbiage and reprogramming our brains. This is on the plan. But when we have freed ourselves from any negative tethers, any negative thoughts and stuff, it's easier to accept and believe in this now moment the I am statements, the I have statements. It's easier to take that in. So when we're in this open state of beingness, it actually starts manifesting in our lives. And I really encourage you to try this for 18 minutes a day, because I know they'll work. I know it. We just have to spend those 18 minutes of the day claiming them. Now, she does say to be specific, but I think we do have to remember one thing. Specific to us might be different than the specific from God. I could say, oh, I want this house at 3294 Creekside Court and no other house. That's our address, but probably shouldn't tell everybody that. No. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so we don't have to be so locked in, is what I'm saying. We have to be willing to know that the higher good is still there. And that's what's important about manifesting our higher good. If we lock ourselves in too much, then guess what? It's not going to come. We need to think about it like this. I am living in the perfect home for me and my family with the right amount of space for. Now, this is where we can get specific. We can say, oh, with the right kitchen, I want to, for me and my family with the right amount of space for a big kitchen, or the right stove. That one's for Sandy. Yeah. Or a swimming pool that I can play in every day. We can say things like that, but we don't have to say, I want an 18 by 32 swimming pool. We don't have to get that specific. Now, we have to remember that the universe, or God, is here to bring forth our highest good, which might not be the perfect thing we have in our mind, but I guarantee you it will be better. If we lock it down with what we think is perfect, we might be cutting off ourselves from something better. And who wants something better? Me. Yeah, me. Yeah, exactly. So we stay focused on this path, and this next person is Christina Kuzmik, I think she says her name, and this is like a minute-long thing too. And she gives this suggestion.
I want to tell you something that I did some years back that, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but it actually changed me for the better. I decided for one entire year, every single evening, I would write down one good thing that happened that day. It had to be something very specific, so not like a general gratitude journal. One good thing that happened that day. And so it started off great. I'm writing stuff down. I did it in the notes section of my phone every evening. And then things got a little rough a few days, but I could still find something good. And then one day in May, I miscarried twins. And I had to have the really painful procedure, and I was physically in pain. I was absolutely emotionally devastated. Then I had to come home and tell my older children, who already knew that I was pregnant, and they were so excited about it, that this happened. And I remember laying in bed that night and being like, I'm not playing that stupid game. I had nothing good happen today. Nothing good happened. But I promised myself I would do it. So I picked up my phone, and the only thing I could come up with is there was something like the way my husband tucked me into bed after bringing me back from the hospital that made me feel really loved. And I wrote that down. And can you imagine if I hadn't been doing this exercise, I would have just fallen asleep with just all this negativity, but instead I fell asleep feeling I am loved. I'm loved. So I encourage you to try that for a year. Not every day is good, but there's good in every day. Find it and write it down.
Beautiful story, huh? Powerful, yeah. And you know, I love the idea that we try to do gratitude journals, or you say, oh, before I go to bed, I always say I'm grateful for something. But with her, she was saying something specific, and it only has to be one thing. So it doesn't even take you that long to think of one good thing that happened that day. But she's saying be specific about what it is. Don't just say, oh, I had a great day, or oh, the kids were great. No. Think about one little thing. And when we get specific about that, which is contrasting to what I was saying a minute ago about not getting too specific about what your higher good is, what we're doing there is we're focusing our brain in on the joy or the good thing that manifested that day that we can expand on, because the minute we tap into that, the minute we focus in on that good thing that happened, we're not just focusing in on the good thing that happened to us. We're focusing in on the good thing that happened to everybody else that is thinking about that joy or that good thing that day, which expands out and out and out, and that collective energy is what we'll feel. We can feel that, and we can reach out to each other through that energy and bless each other with that, and allow that energy to bring joy to somebody else. This person might be thinking they're out here by themselves, not feeling the joy, and then they have that instantaneous thought of joy, and they just, like a magnet, just come sucking into the group, and it's like a big hug from God. It's huge. It's that love that's so pure. I love that she said the good thing that happened today was the way my husband tucked me into bed when we came home from the hospital. It was truly love. And that's true. That her in that moment, she needed that. She just needed that little bit of comfort. And that's all we have to do in very little moments. If we're picking up that we're supposed to call somebody, or we're sensing that somebody needs our attention, take that moment to do that, because that could be that little tucking in that somebody needed in that moment. And that brings you joy, because you feel like you made the right choice, like you made the right decision to help that person, to be there, and to lift them up into that magnitude of joy that other people are feeling. Christina suggests that we lock in the good by writing down one good thing that happened that day, and to be specific, not general. She states, not every day is good, but there will be good in every day. And that is absolute truth right there, I'm telling you. There is always good in every single day, no matter what is happening. And it could be that you just got, somebody just smiled at you, and you felt the energy. That could be something good that happened to you, even in the midst of horrific things. But it's amazing how we have to tap into those feelings. Now, this next one is from the site Manifestation of Your Dreams by Dr. Paul Winters. And he did this Reels, I think, like a couple years ago. Actually, I think it was right around COVID time, I'm not sure. but it attracted 6 million viewers. And this is just a little snippet of it because his was really long. But I wanted to play this.
Imagine if today somebody gave you a check for $1 million and you went to deposit it at your bank and the bank said, okay, great, like this will clear in the next 10 business days because it's a big check and the bank has to work it out. So now for those following business days, you'd be walking around with this high energy outputting into the universe of you feeling wealthy and abundant and happy and excited and satisfied. And as a result, living from that level of energy would produce all these other experiences that are on that level of excitement and abundance and prosperity, right? Even those who don't have a dollar to spend yet, you just be walking around all that time knowing, right? It's a knowing, it's not even like hoping anymore because you know that the funds are going to be released on that certain day or whatever.
Yeah. Now, isn't it true? When we know something good is going to happen, we get all excited, or we know that we're going to, our income tax is coming back. Yeah, whatever it is, you know, we know that we're high on that, aren't we? We feel that higher good coming forth because we can know it's going to be there. But to take that same energy, we can do it all the time. We can wake up in the morning, walk out the door and go, yeah, this is going to be my best day ever. Best day ever. And it can be your best day ever, can it?
Yes.
Yeah, all we have to do is determine that in our minds.
Every day.
Talk to Becky. Becky, it's good you're the chaplain today. Everybody's going to want to talk to you. But it does contrast a little bit with what Christina was saying, because Paul is talking about feelings, the feeling that we have wrapped around in this. And he shared that when we know there is good there, like you wake up in the morning, it's your birthday, you feel good, don't you? That feels good. Unless somebody comes along and kicks you or something, you're going to have a good day because you're feeling good. And we have to take those feelings and know that that's what manifests the higher good in our life. The feeling that we have inside is what's going to take us to that next level and makes us more aware of the higher good. And we get excited and we're joy-filled and we're just moving through life like, yeah. And he even suggests later on in this video that we get that vibrational energy going. And vibrational energy matches to other people at that vibrational level. And in fact, there's probably a span of energy that comes through. So we might be at this level, somebody else might be up here, and if we start tapping into that energy, a feeling good energy, we can lift each other up to be kind of in an even space and lift higher and higher. Because we know that collective consciousness comes together, it naturally raises. We have that critical mass that changes everything. And so our brains can activate the feeling, because the brains are what sends feelings out to your body. Our brains are the ones that tell us if we're sick. Our brains are the ones that tell us if we cut ourselves. Haven't you ever been doing something, working in the kitchen or whatever, and you don't even realize you cut yourself? And because your brain wasn't paying attention. But the minute your eyes see it, then your brain says, oh yeah, you cut yourself, it's bleeding all over the place. Yeah, duh. My brain said, duh. But then we have to determine what the feeling's going to be. Are we going to start going crazy like, oh God, that hurts so bad? Or are we going to go, sorry, brain, I had the wrong finger there. Sorry, brain, I'm not going to respond to that. I'm just going to wrap it up and carry on. We can do that, and we can do that with anything in our body that we're reacting to. But we have to decide what the feeling is that we're going to have. He suggests, don't let doubt steal the good seed we have planted. Water the good seed, and manifestations will follow. So those feelings that we have are the good seeds. We want to let them grow and flourish in our lives. So we focus in on that. We don't let any kind of doubt or negativity or shouldas or couldas take away that feeling that we have that we're moving forward. So we've come through this plan today, and I discovered it by putting all these pieces together. But what is important is, are we all ready to commit to this plan? Because if we're not ready to start manifesting the higher good in our lives, then just set it aside until you can say to yourself, I'm ready to make this happen in my life. And like I said, you're going to get a copy of it from Maria when she passes around the love offering hearts. But here are the steps of the plan. We begin with committing to 18 minutes a day of practice. Everybody can do that, right?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? Now remember, we're still putting our prayer practice in there and everything. Okay. Then we believe and know that we co-create our reality with God. Everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Yes. See, you got 2 steps down already. You can do this. 18 minutes a day? Yeah, Next, we stop the nonsense chatter in our brain that we can do nothing about. Can we work on that?
Yes. Yes.
Can we do it today?
Yes.
Yes, stop that nonsense chatter. Yeah. We can reprogram our brain to give us something useful to do or something to bring us joy. That's what Mo said. Remember? We're going to tell our brains, we're going to tell Becky, hey, give me something useful to do or something to bring us joy. And this opens up a space for us to practice because we no longer are accepting any negativity around us. We have this open, clear space. We write down, here's how we practice. We write down everything we want in the present tense using I statements or I am statements, and we read them daily. Now this is going to take up some of your 18 minutes, right? And I suggest you do it before you go to bed because it will make a difference. You've got that in your subconscious working away. But how long is that going to take you? I don't know. I mean, if you end up spending all your 18 minutes doing that, then that's cool. Whatever. However it works for you. And every night we write down a specific good thing about the day. Can you do that?
Yes.
Can we do it? Really? Can we? Okay, good. Then we engage our feelings. We feel the importance of knowing that God is right here, right now, and we plant the seeds of good and water them, and we do not let doubt steal them away. Now, these are the seeds we're planting, and we're going to water those by affirming that and by saying them every day and knowing that they're going to come forth for us right here, right now. And once we do that, then a lot of stuff starts manifesting. I guarantee it. Manifesting higher good is ours and only 18 minutes a day away from being successful in our lives. Do you believe this? Yes. Can you feel this? I hope so. Please, let's take this spiritual journey together as we start manifesting our higher good. Thank you for being here today. God bless you.